Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that 1.9 billion euros just vanished. Not stolen, not hidden, just gone. Like it never existed. This is the story of Wirecard, a German company that was supposed to be the future of digital payments. It was worth more than 24 billion euros. It was part of Germany's most prestigious stock index. Banks, investors, and even governments trusted it with billions. But there was one tiny problem. Most of the money was fake. This is the biggest accounting fraud in European history. And the scariest part? Almost no one saw it coming. Our story begins in Munich, Germany in 1999. The internet was young. People were just starting to buy things online. And three men had an idea. Markus Braun, Jan Marsalek, and a small team wanted to build a company that would handle online payments. Think of it like PayPal, but for European businesses. They called it Wirecard. At first, Wirecard was tiny. Just a few employees working in a small office. They processed payments for websites. Mostly online gambling sites and adult content platforms. Not glamorous, but profitable. Markus Braun was the brains behind the operation. He was Austrian, quiet, and incredibly smart. He had a PhD in economics and loved technology. He believed the future of money was digital. And he was right. By 2002, Wirecard went public on the stock market. It was still small, but it was growing. Investors started paying attention. Here was a German tech company that could compete with Silicon Valley. That was rare. Germany was known for cars and engineering, not tech startups. Braun became CEO in 2002, and that's when things started to change. Over the next 15 years, Wirecard exploded. It grew faster than almost any other company in Europe. By 2018, Wirecard was worth 24 billion euros. It replaced Commerzbank in the DAX 30, Germany's top stock index. This was huge. The DAX 30 only includes the biggest, most trusted companies in Germany. Companies like Volkswagen, Siemens, and BMW. Wirecard was now seen as a national champion, a proof that Germany could build world-class tech companies. So what did Wirecard actually do? They processed payments for online businesses. When you bought something online, Wirecard made sure the money moved from your bank to the seller. They worked with airlines, retail stores, and tech companies all over the world. They partnered with giants like Visa and MasterCard. They expanded into Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. Revenue was growing by 30, 40, sometimes 50% every single year. Investors loved it. The stock price kept climbing. Markus Braun became a billionaire. He was on magazine covers. He gave speeches at conferences. He was treated like a visionary. But behind the scenes, something was very, very wrong. In 2015, a journalist named McCrum started investigating Wirecard. He worked for the Financial Times, one of the most respected business newspapers in the world. McCrum noticed something strange. Wirecard's profits in Asia were growing incredibly fast. Too fast. The numbers didn't make sense. He started digging deeper. He found suspicious transactions. Fake invoices. Money moving through strange companies in countries like Dubai and the Philippines. He published his findings. But instead of panicking, Wirecard fought back. Hard. They called the articles lies. They hired expensive lawyers. They even reported the Financial Times to German regulators, claiming the journalists were part of a conspiracy to destroy the company. German authorities actually raided the Financial Times office and investigated the reporters. Can you imagine? The fraudsters got the investigators investigated. For years, Wirecard convinced everyone that the journalists were wrong. Investors kept buying the stock. regulators kept trusting Wirecard. Even Germany's financial regulator BaFin defended the company. But McCrum didn't give up. He kept investigating, and slowly the truth started coming out. In 2019, the Financial Times published more damning evidence: internal documents, whistleblowers, proof that Wirecard was faking billions in revenue. Finally, in June 2020, the dam broke. Wirecard's auditor was a company called EY, one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. Every year, EY was supposed to check Wirecard's financial records and confirm everything was correct. For years, EY signed off on Wirecard's accounts without major problems, but in June 2020, EY refused to sign. Why? Because they couldn't find 1.9 billion euros that was supposed to be sitting in bank accounts in the Philippines. Wirecard said the money was there. They showed documents, bank statements, everything looked official. But when EY actually contacted the banks said, "We have no idea what you're talking about. That money doesn't exist." The documents were fake. The bank statements were forged. 1.9 billion euros had never existed. On June 18, 2020, Wirecard admitted the truth. The money was probably fake. The company's stock price collapsed. It lost 98% of its value in just 2 days. Investors lost billions. Pension funds, banks, regular people who trusted Germany's most successful tech company all lost their money. Markus Braun resigned as CEO. Days later, he was arrested at his home in Munich. Police found him in his apartment, calm and quiet, as if he had been waiting for this moment. But the drama wasn't over yet. Jan Marsalek, the chief operating officer and Braun's right-hand man, disappeared. He was last seen boarding a flight from Austria. Authorities believe he fled to Russia. To this day, he has not been found. He's one of Europe's most wanted fugitives. Wirecard filed for bankruptcy. Thousands of employees lost their jobs. Partners like Visa and MasterCard cut ties immediately. So how did Wirecard fool everyone for so long? First, they were incredibly good at lying. They created fake companies in countries with weak regulations. They forged documents, invented customers, and manipulated accounts. They paid people to lie for them. It was organized, sophisticated, and ruthless. Second, they had powerful friends. Politicians, regulators, and business leaders wanted Wirecard to succeed. Germany desperately wanted a tech champion. So when journalists raised alarms, many people didn't want to believe it. Third, the auditors failed. EY audited Wirecard for years and missed the fraud. How? Some people say EY was incompetent. Others say Wirecard was just too good at hiding the truth. Either way, EY is now facing lawsuits worth billions. And fourth, the regulators failed. Germany's financial watchdog, BaFin, was supposed to protect investors. Instead, they went after the journalists who exposed the fraud. It was a spectacular failure. In 2022, Markus Braun went on trial in Munich. He denied everything. He claimed he was a victim, tricked by Jan Marsalek and others. The trial is still ongoing as of today. But the damage is done. Wirecard is considered the biggest corporate scandal in German history. Bigger than Volkswagen's emissions fraud. It destroyed Germany's reputation in finance and technology. The Wirecard scandal teaches us something important. Trust is fragile. It doesn't matter how big or respected a company is. It doesn't matter if auditors approve it or if it's on the stock market. If the numbers don't make sense, ask questions. If journalists raise alarms, listen. And never, ever assume that something is too big to fail. Wirecard wasn't just a company that lied. It was a system that failed. Regulators failed. Auditors failed. Investors failed. Everyone wanted to believe the dream so badly that they ignored the truth. 1.9 billion euros. Gone. And with it, the trust of millions. If you found this story shocking, hit that like button and subscribe to Capital Sins. We cover the biggest business failures, frauds, and collapses in history. Because sometimes, the best lessons come from the worst mistakes. See you in the next one.